Welcome to Galesburg in Focus on WGIL. Today we're joined by Rebekka Copple, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Central Illinois based in Lincoln, and she will discuss storm anxiety, a common fear affecting many in our community. With her personal journey overcoming weather fears and expertise in forecasting, Rebekka shares practical advice for managing storm-related stress. Rebekka, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Good. I came across this on your website the other day. I thought this was really interesting because I know a lot of people do have storm anxiety. So, can you start by explaining what is storm anxiety and what are some of the signs somebody might be experiencing?
Storm anxiety is when you have this intense dread or fear when significant or hazardous weather is being forecast for your location or whenever it is coming through as it's passing overhead. Uh, and the ways you can tell it's happening is whenever we put out a outlook saying that there's going to be tornadoes or damaging winds moving through, you can kind of feel the anxiousness and nervousness building inside of your chest. You might want to freeze and change all your plans where you don't leave the house, or you might want to leave the area, drive somewhere that's not going to have storms, or you might just want to stand outside and face your fear. So there's many different ways you can experience anxiety from weather.
Do you think we're seeing more of this now with social media and just so much more attention on weather?
I believe that more of the stigma against mental health is being removed. The more people are feeling free to discuss that, oh, this type of weather makes me uncomfortable. And it's just bringing more and more attention to it as we get rid of the stigma over mental health.
It seems like the forecasts are coming out so much more in advance now, especially like for winter. We'll see like 5 or 6 days in advance. Expect this storm coming. And do you feel that kind of builds into the anxiety?
It definitely does, especially if you're getting your forecast from more of a hype source rather than a logical fact based source. So, where you get your forecasts from are definitely very important, especially whenever we start advertising a winter storm or a significant system to move through several days in advance. It gives your body a lot of time to build up expectations, and it'll cause the anxiety to be worse in some people.
Okay. You've shared that you were terrified of storms as a child. And then how did you decide to become a meteorologist? And how did that personal experience shape your approach to helping others with storm anxiety?
Yes, so when I was younger, I had no specific reason to be scared of storms or rain or anything. But the more I learned about it, the more education I gave myself on different types of weather, the more I fell in love with the weather. And so then I decided I wanted to be the person that helped others that were like me learn more and get over the fear.
Were there any close calls with storms that you experienced?
Not from my childhood, no. I just developed this fear out of nowhere.
Can you walk us through what's a typical day as a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Lincoln, and how do you help people know what's coming weather-wise?
Yes, so twice a day we issue a forecast for 7 days, once in the early morning hours and once in the middle of the afternoon. And we create all these different graphics that convey what our forecast is going to be and what our thinking is, that we then send out to the public and our partners. We conduct interviews with different media sources just to help get the education out there. Uh, that's basically a typical day at the Weather Service.
What are some of the common triggers for storm anxiety?
Some triggers, just hearing a forecast that has thunder in it can trigger some people. Dark clouds, even on a beautiful blue sky day, if we get just a darker colored gray cloud, that could cause some people to start feeling anxious, especially if they think that that could mean that there's a storm or rain coming their way. The triggers are different for each individual person.
What inspired you to do this storm anxiety? Have you seen other presentations like this before?
I have not, no. Ever since I was scared when I was a kid and I finally developed the strength to get over the fear, I wanted to be that person that got this message out to everybody. Uh, Before I did this, I hadn't seen it done anywhere else.
Talking to Rebekka Copple, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Lincoln about storm anxiety. So in the Midwest, obviously, spring brings severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, while winter, heavy snow and ice. Based on your experience, which of these weather events tends to cause more anxiety and why, do you think?
Oh, tornadoes definitely are on the top of the list because you don't know where they're going to hit, if they're going to hit your home, hit the people you love. And then winter storms cause a lot of anxiety as well because they don't know if they're going to lose power. If they lose power, how long is it going to be out? Uh, if they're going to be driving through it, not knowing where the black ice is going to be. It's definitely a bigger anxiety inducing threat.
Okay. Your presentation, you mentioned coping mechanisms, like learning about weather. What are some practical steps that people can take to manage their fears?
Some practical steps, putting on your tennis shoes if there's a threat for thunderstorms that day. That way, if there is a storm, you're ready to just go to your safe place. Charge your devices however you receive your warnings or your watches. Charge those devices so you can continue to get information if the power were to go out. That's not just for severe storms, that could be for winter storms as well. Some other things is if your financials allow it, get a generator. Having a generator allows you to feel some sort of control over the situation if you were to lose power.
What's the reaction been like since you made this presentation?
It's been very open. A lot of people have been wanting to take it to their closer knit groups and show it to them as well. And I've seen some other people on social media trying to spin up their own forms of a storm anxiety talk.
How about for parents? How can they help children who have storm anxiety? Do you tend to see a certain age that has more storm anxiety than others?
I'm not sure on an exact age group, but the ways it can be from the very youngest, barely toddling, to in their teens. The best way is, especially for the younger ones, is to have them color, draw a picture of what they're scared of, and just let them creatively show their fear. Allow them to talk about it. As they get older, start introducing them to more educational devices and materials. For me, it was the Weather Channel, watching the Weather Channel. The National Weather Service has coloring books and educational material on our websites that can educate young kids up to high school on what weather is.
And I guess even down to pets. Pets can probably have pet or storm anxiety also.
Yes, they can. I've heard putting a device called Quiet Ears over them. It like dampens the sound of the thunder. From what I've heard, thunder is the noise, the loudness of it is what triggers the dogs because their ears hear it a lot clearer than ours do.
Okay. Talking to Rebekka Copple, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Lincoln about storm anxiety. You've kind of talked about this, but what role does preparation play in reducing storm anxiety?
The more you prepare, the more power you put over that fear because you are in control of the situation. If you know if a thunderstorm is coming my way, this is where I need to go, this is who I need to contact, and I need to have my devices charged. If you practice it and prepare for it, when it actually happens, you will be ready and it'll help give you a sense of control over the situation.
Okay. How about, we mentioned as far, storm forecasts coming out earlier, and you mentioned some sources may not be as trustworthy. Is it pretty much the National Weather Service, or are there other sources that people can trust?
Your local media, your local National Weather Service. I'm sure there are other trustworthy sources online with the meteorologists or that are prevalent on social media. But just be careful with who you choose. Sometimes some people use too many hype words just to get the attention. So just make sure you go to your local broadcast media or your local National Weather Service for the most reliable source of information.
Obviously, tornadoes can happen any time of the year. We've even seen them in winter, but are we kind of out of the tornado season, or how long does that last here in central Illinois?
We are still in tornado season. We've definitely seen tornadoes even in December and January.
Right.
So letting our guard down from tornadoes right now is a little difficult. We are moving into the season of where damaging winds is becoming more and more of the threat as we get larger scale systems that are going to be moving through. But tornadoes are going to be prevalent through the rest of the summer.
We'll link this your presentation up. But once again, how can people find out more about storm anxiety?
Yes, you can go on to our website, weather.gov/Lincoln, and it's linked on there, and that's where you can find all of that information.
Okay. Thank you, Rebekka, for joining us today on Galesburg in Focus. Your personal story and practical advice, I'm sure, will help a lot of people in the community and maybe take on storms with more confidence. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.